Hi, everybody, and welcome to another tech webinar here at Advancio. And today we have a very special presentation. We have the QA automation and manual QA, an approach to combine efforts. And today's very special guest is Manuel Pot. Manuel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Carlos. And I think this is going to be really interesting for everyone.
Yeah, I'm absolutely positive that it's going to be. Manuel, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us this presentation. And if you would like to start the presentation without further ado, I hand it off to you.
Absolutely. So, start sharing the screen and you can see the presentation right here. Uh, so first of all, welcome guys, and let me introduce myself. I am Manuel Pot. I'm a senior SDET here in Advancio. I have very much experience on different stuff like automation, creation of different test suites from scratch for front end, back end, also improving some efforts into pipelines, creating new ways to get involved manual QA and QA automation into my team where I'm currently working on. So that's me. I have like 5 years in automation. So we are going to see this presentation, and I really hope that this result really interesting for you guys. Uh, as you can see, we are going to touch the topic of QA automation and manual QA, and this is an approach to some efforts, how we can manage this new approach where manual QA and QA automation start working together. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to see is that manual QA has a software life cycle, or it is involved into the software life cycle. Uh, this is really essential and is pretty one of the standard stuff of manual that you need to understand, because manual QA and also automation starts in a different stage of the software lifecycle. For example, here you can see that the first step is the identification of requirements, the acceptance criteria, the strategic planning, the execution, the defect tracking. So where is going to start manual QA? Manual QA is going to be involved in the whole process, even the identification of the requirements. They are going to participate along of these requirements, and also in the acceptance criteria, create the strategies for the plans that they are going to keep in the testing and the design of the test plans, everything of that. And where automation comes, where is going to happen the automation? Well, automation is going to start happening after this planning, after the strategy and the test cases creation, because automation is going to be taking part by automating manual test cases. So we need to wait to the manual QAs to get something ready for automation to test. This is some kind of the rough approach that mainly is used in these days. So what we are going to see in the next sheet is, why do we need automation on software development? Or if there are many manual QAs and QA has been demonstrated that it is almost plenty of techniques and results and everything of that stuff, why we need automation? So results that manual QA takes a lot of time and also a lot of people to do. For example, if we are talking about really a small application, you can test it with just 1 or 2 persons. But when we start talking about uh, a web page that requires, I don't know, hundreds of pages, or requires hundreds of filling fields, or making another test cases, I don't know. You can think, for example, in some of the most famous web pages that you can see that are absolutely bigger. Uh, we can't cover everything on time. We If we just we only use manual QA. So here is where automation software development goes in. When it is supposed to save time, creating processes that are automatically run. You can have different type of managing errors or issues. Everything of you can automate from manual QAs. You can improve this in a faster way, and is a little bit more different because you're going to need less people to make these test cases. And also it's going to be improving the team collaboration with the reports and all of that stuff where everyone can give some look. And that's why we need automation and software development. And why manual QA versus automation? Okay, so here we are going to see some of the benefits from automation and ones from manual. As you can see, automation is saving time, can simulate hundreds of people interacting with a network, can run scripts, also can execute these scripts into different networks or multiple devices at the same time. And why manual is also needed? Because manual is going to be more focused on the user perspective. Has the or aims to verify or disapprove how people expect a software need to work, or what are the goals that needs to meet a software application to say, okay, this is acceptable for the user. Also, there are some bugs that are totally unexpected that maybe automation cannot manage. And also there is some, and says that manual testers are a little bit cheaper in cost compared of automation ones. Okay, so this is the advantages, disadvantages of automation and manual. So absolutely, we want to take both sides and combine it. So here we are, summing efforts with manual QA and automation. Absolutely, we are going to have some challenges in adopting QA automation from a manual perspective, and also it's going to be some challenges trying to combine automation with manual perspective, because not everything is going to work for both sides. So we need, or what we want is to cover as much test cases as manual QA following the same view that they have, but saving time with the automation suite. For example, if you have a test suite with hundreds of test cases, maybe you want to, I don't know, automate everything and do it a little bit faster, and try to save some time to manual QAs in some other bugs or some other test cases that maybe are a little bit difficult to handle with automation. So that's why we need some efforts between manual and automation QA. And we are going to start talking about the tools. How we can meet this goal of combine manual QA and automation. There is something that is different from manual QAs and automations, and the main thing is programming. Absolutely, programming is the one thing that manual or most of manual QAs are not going to be able to do, because not everyone can write programs. Okay, so in this case, we are going to mention several tools that are going to help us to create this environment where manual QAs and automation QAs can work together. The first one is Java. Java is the language, or it's the language, the programming language that we are going to use, or mainly use in every project around the world. There are also other different languages, but mainly we are going to be focused on Java. We have Serenity, that is this one is related to create suites, automation suites. Selenium, that is going to help us with the UI automation. REST Assured, that is going to be able to perform API testing. And Cucumber. Cucumber, this one is really special because it can be possible to create phrases that are humanly understandable without programming on the front that are going to help us to combine these efforts. So remember these tools. We have Java, Serenity, Selenium, REST Assured, and the main one is Cucumber. So now we are going to talk about the Gherkin language. Cucumber is the name of the library that provides this Gherkin language support. As you can see here is just plain text with a very specific structure where you can find the feature that is going to be the name of what we want to test. For example, in the image, you can see that we want to test web searching and has a little bit brief description of what is the feature about. After that, I'm pretty sure that manual QAs are going to recognize these ones. We have the scenarios. The scenarios are, you can see that are described like steps, phrases, and you are going to see, for example, in here that we say, given that Google homepage is displayed, when a user search for an animal, that search result are showed for animals. So it is going to expect that the results for the search are the ones that you are trying to find. And you have some examples on down here, for example, animal, panda, elephant, and python, right? So this language is the one that is going to be the main stone of everything for combining these efforts, because this one is understandable for manual QAs because they are used to write test cases in almost this way. You can see that there are some different stuff, but it is just human language. And behind of this, we are going to be using the other tools. We are going to be using Java, we are going to be using Selenium, REST Assured, all of these tools to accomplish that these human expression of the scenarios are going to be automated. And one of the best things of Gherkin language is that every phrase can be reused in other scenarios. For example, you can reuse when the user searches for animal, or you can reuse almost any phrase that you write on this language and is already programmed for automation. And here we have an approach to organize the QA teams. How we can manage this organization, because most of the time automation teams are separately from manual QAs, and this is because they have different perspectives and they don't have a way to communicate ideas between them, just the test cases that are written in some way that sometimes automations need some help to understand, or maybe need some tweaks to be completely automated or able to be automated. So we are proposing to use one automation QA for at least 3 manual QAs. This is some of the organization that we already have on the Advancio company. We work together, manual QAs and automation QAs, and we organize different meetings to have to give guidance to manual QAs on the way in how they can use the Gherkin language. And also we provide some other tools like a dictionary of the phrases where they can find what they need to complete the scenario or writing the scenario. Also, we are giving them the possibility to use these different scenarios into the suite and also run the scripts that they write in Gherkin language. So, for example, manual QAs are going to give us the scenario in Gherkin style, After that, the automation is going to review with them if they are accomplishing what the scenario wants and see if there are some missing phrases or there is something really specific that they need to complete that automation scenario. And the automation guy is going to take part on that and create whatever needs to be in the backend of the Gherkin language. It could be Java programming, it could be, I don't know, something related to REST Assured or to UI testing, everything. Manual QAs are going to help us really much by writing these test cases. And um, as I can say, they can actually write it into the suite and just raise their hands and say, oh, hello, uh, I already did my automation script and I need some review from you guys. So this is the way that we are working right now on the organization on Advancio to create this environment of working together, manual QAs and automation QAs. And let me tell you that this is really interesting the way that we found that this is actually working. We grow our suite in test cases. We grow the suite in how strong are the test cases that we are testing. Also, the automation guys have understand or a really deep understand of the application that they need to test. And manual QAs are also learning how to use new tools or are trying to learn new ways to program some scripts without really using some software program or writing a software program. And we have some of the experience using this approach, right? On the current project where I am, we start using some suite with the without the Gherkin support. So automation guys were live alone and manual QAs were living their lives in this group. Okay. So it started to happen that there are many misunderstandings between the test cases and what automation is making. For example, if you want to test the username with, I don't know, with just 10 combinations, the manual guy is going to write these 10 combinations. But I don't know, maybe automation said, oh, maybe this is too much. And we are going just to take the half of the examples, right? And there are other misunderstandings about what we need to test and other stuff. But with this Gherkin language, all of this stuff were going out because both sides understand the scenario in the same way. And also, we increment the productivity in creating these test cases for automation because the manual we write the test case and it is already done. We almost don't need to do anything else. Manual QA can also run these specific test cases by using the scripts. Data creation is really quicker by using the automated tools. For example, if manual QA needs some data to be created with a specific data, they can write their script using Gherkin and the data that they need to create, and it is going to be created without any effort. And there are some reports that also said what is failing, what has a defect, if something is broken in the automation side or in the manual side, and we cooperate to review these reports and see if the application is working as expected or we need to do some improvement or rising bugs or give anything that we need to guarantee that the application is working as expected. And also, not everything is good on all sides. There are also challenges, and we have some right here. For example, that the perspective of the testing might be different from automation that is more specific or more guided like results or close results. This is because we are really used to have the think or we think like programmers. So we just need to accomplish the goal and this is it, right? And manual QA are more extensive because obviously they need to guarantee that the application can be strong uh, with bugs or uh, edge scenarios, everything of that. So this is one of the challenge. Try to get manual QA, uh, get learn a little bit more on the working style, let's say, and automation by learning how extensive a test case could be and how to identify what is the middle point of that, what can be used for the automation. Also, some manual QAs are not capable. Some manual test cases are not capable of being automated. Absolutely, there are some test cases that cannot be automated, and there are some discussion about what are they or how we can manage that, and we decide if manual QA is going to still working on it or automation is going to find a way to make the automation for that specific test cases. Um, Absolutely, the transition from natural language to Gherkin style is not directly right there, so it's not around the corner. So you need to practice a little bit on the Gherkin style. You need to learn what phrases are in the dictionary, what phrases you can use, maybe how you can write phrases that doesn't exist, but maybe uh, you need it to complete your scenario. This is from manual side, absolutely. And also the coordination of timelines, because as you see on the software lifecycle, we have different times. For example, I don't know, maybe automation start in the first day of the sprint, but by automating what is in the backlog or something like that. But uh, maybe QA is going to take a little bit more time longer because they need to create the test cases. They need to upload these test cases into a specific tool to manage test cases or any kind of situations that uh, manual QAs can uh, put in front of them. And also automation can be busy trying to fix some bugs because sometimes there are bugs on the suite or something is broken. I don't know. So this coordination on when we say these test cases in Gherkin style and when we start writing them to cover uh, these new test cases onto the end or after the sprint ends is sometimes complicated and not all the time we can accomplish that. So we always try to manage these timelines in the best way we can because it's absolutely difficult to do. Um, and lastly, I think that conclusions. Um, we have an example right here that says manual testing versus automation testing. So, uh, what conclusions we can have from this combination or sum of efforts? Why is really important? So the first thing is that we can have uh, very most robust integrations of test cases and manual testing and automation testing because since manual QAs are also aware of what automation have on the suite, what they are building, what are the scenarios that they have been testing, they also can give improvements into that and say, maybe we can go a little bit deeper right here, or maybe we can uh, cut this scenario in half or anything of that. This is to guarantee that this application is robust against bugs or against unexpected scenarios. Um, Also, as I said, we are going to save some time from the manual side and the automation side. On the manual side, because they don't need to run these manual test cases, they just wait for the results from the suite, and the automation testers are not going to write hundreds of times the same piece of code that runs some step. We can reuse what we have and we can build new scenarios from there. And one of the most important things, I think, is the relationship between manual and automation QA. Because I'm pretty sure that sometimes we see us as enemies because we have different perspective of what we need to test and what uh, every team has to do or accomplish. But it's not the case. We all, automation and manual, are both QAs, and both teams are to provide quality to the product, to the business, and that's what we are looking for with this effort to try to combine manual QA and automation. Cultivate the communication, the understanding between both teams, and mainly business and application quality.
Thank you so much, Manuel. That was a great presentation. A lot of information, a lot of very interesting information. And yes, we do have a couple of questions here. Let's move on to our Q&A section, which is questions and answers, not quality
Yeah.
assurance. The first question that we have is, why do we need to start combining efforts between automation and manual QA?
Oh, okay. Well, as I said a couple of minutes, we need to start to take advantage of both sides, because we can take the advantage of save some time from the automation suites, but get deeper on the test cases with the manual QA's approach or vision, because they have many other things in their minds that maybe automation doesn't have. And also, it is going to be really helpful to have reports from the automation side and the best test cases that we can have from manual QA.
Okay, great. Okay, the second question that we have here is, what are the differences between automation and manual QA? I think we touched that subject before, but if you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Oh, sure. Mainly it's the way that we approach the problems, because on manual side they have different levels of think, because they need to accomplish different goals. For example, they need to accomplish with just let me remember the name, with acceptance criteria. They need to guarantee that the user is going to have the best experience in the application. And automation, they're not really aware of that. They just create the automation test cases, or just build a program to automate something, and maybe they don't take in account that user experience that maybe the test automation can also help to improve. For example, in tests like massive loads or waiting times or that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Manuel. Third question that we have is there a way to communicate with other software, and what sort of tools do we have to do that in QA and manual or in automated?
Okay. For this one, there are different ways to communicate between tools. For example, we mentioned one. I think this Cucumber is the more complete on terms of communication because of natural language. But there are other differences. For example, we can use JUnit to create a scenario with some descriptions, and also trying to reuse phrases from there. But it's not really direct like Gary King style. You need to cover some stuff, and maybe this is most difficult to manual QAs, because they don't have any idea of how the code is going to be, or maybe they don't have idea what they need to modify to cover the steps or something like that. Cucumber is the one that I think is the most important right now, and the most efficient in terms of communication.
Okay. And the last question that we have is, what is the impact of this approach for business?
For business. Okay, well, for business, we have different impacts. The first one is that everyone is going to have a core learn, so they need to take some time to learn this new technology or this new um, language that they need to use, for example, manual QAs. And also, uh, sometimes it's difficult to automations to integrate these new generation tools with Gherkin. They are not always capable to do that. So after that, that is just like a sign out on what impacts could have. We can talk about positive stuff like save time, save money, guarantee uh, less time spent on the release because you have an automation suite that can test before releases and maybe it is automated. You can see the reports, you can share these reports with the business guys and they are going to be able to read the scenarios that you're running because they are again in human language and they can understand also the results, why it's failing or why is this having an issue, and also you can saw the metrics. There are many stuff that are really beneficial for the business, and I think we need to take advantage of those both sides, manual and automation side.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that we have for you. Thank you so much, Manuel. And with that, we bring this tech webinar to a close. Manuel, I thank you again for joining us and giving us this presentation. And to you guys out there, remember to subscribe, to like this video, and remember that Advancio is currently hiring. We are looking for senior full stack developers with .NET and Angular, as well as mid full stack developers with .NET and Angular. Again, I thank you guys. My name is Carlos Anaya, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
You guys, thank you, Carlos.